Another volatile day on Wall Street. The Dow Jones index fell ultimately only 249 points. I say only because it was down 565 points earlier in the day. Another volatile day in the stock market. Dave Morris here in the Oklahoman's video studio. Here with some analysis and perhaps some explanation. Adam Wilmoth from the Oklahoman's business desk. Thanks for your time today. As it turns out, a busy day for you. And let's start with the price of oil continuing to go down, perhaps surprising levels today. And then we'll get into what we heard today from Devon and SandRidges. But first, the price of oil dropping another 6.7% today.
It just keeps falling down to $26.55. That's a level unseen in many years. It's a level that companies are very uncomfortable with. I think that most would say they don't need $100, but they're sure hurting at 30. And if it goes below, and as it's below that, that could have some very strong ramifications on the city and on the state economies.
Well, and speaking of the city locally this morning, we saw hundreds of Devon employees walking past the Oklahoman down here this morning for a meeting they had over at the Cox Convention Center. And one of the items they heard involved layoffs.
That's right. It was a regularly scheduled town hall meeting they have at the beginning of each year. But you're right, there was some tough news that came out of it. They said that they are cutting costs, and one of the things they're looking at is layoffs. They did not have a number, said that they are still finalizing their budget and their plan on that, but they are expecting layoffs by the end of the first quarter.
Interesting to sort of set the tone for that conversation, so I guess it's not a huge shock in February or March when those numbers are out. Devon employees about how many?
About 5,000 total. Most of those are in Oklahoma City.
And perhaps this is a little bit more surprising because unlike other energy companies, Devon is not necessarily debt leveraged. That's
right. They are widely considered one of the stronger oil companies of that size, in Oklahoma. That they have debt. All the oil companies do, but their ratios, their balance sheet is much stronger than most of them.
We'll mention Devon Energy stock closed at $21.58 today, down 8%. In other energy news, SandRidges Energy, Adam, has agreed to close some of its disposal wells.
They have. They have reached a settlement with the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. This is an issue that's been going on for a little more than a month, but as part of their settlement, SandRidges agreed to shut in 4 saltwater disposal wells up in northwest Oklahoma, and another 4 wells they have turned over to the Oklahoma Geological Survey is going to use those 4 wells as test wells to conduct some experiments and trying to get a better handle on what's causing, how the saltwater disposal wells, how the industry activity in that area is contributing to the earthquakes. They also agreed to another 48 wells. They're going to reduce production volume, disposal volume through those 48 wells.
Interesting. SandRidges stock down 9.83% today. These are some stories that Adam and his crew will be following over the next few days. You can find continuing coverage in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. One other energy company we should talk about, just briefly in passing here, Chesapeake Energy stock actually went up today.
It did. It had a big jump today. We're still trying to get a handle on exactly what happened with that. Most of the energy stocks were down. Oil was down pretty heavily, and that dragged down most of the energy stocks. There were a few that were up, mostly natural gas heavy companies, so it might have something to do with that. We're still trying to get a handle on that situation.
I know you and Paul, Brianna, the whole crew over there are working furiously on the business desk, and I guess we should say a big shout out to business editor Don Mikoy as he continues to recover from surgery. Probably laughing at the amount of breaking news you guys have to handle.
Probably.
Adam, thanks for your help today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, more coverage in the Oklahoman.